Hey guys, I'm here back again. I told you I'd make a video. Keelani Mia. I'm here with my great friend Ryan, and we're going to discuss quick things with you about renting here in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So, Ryan, you
Yes.
are one of our expert gurus in renting. What
Yeah.
is the most important thing you found that renters need to know about applying?
That's actually a great question. What's important, honestly, is just to have your ducks in a row. Like, I know you're not buying. However, there are still requirements that you have to meet in order to rent, right? And don't get me wrong, there are some property managers that are more lenient, a little more chill, and we appreciate that, right?
do.
Because there are some folks who have some challenging credit, things that are life happens to people. And so having some options where PMs can be a little more flexible, understanding, considerate about life happening is helpful. But I would definitely say working with an agent is the easiest way to ensure you're not wasting time or money. Looking yourself, going online, possibly getting scammed. And yes, that has happened to a lot of many folks that I've worked with prior to working with me. So having your ducks in a row, finding an agent, and if you don't know what those ducks are, find an agent and we'll, give you that info.
Yes, we love helping people find rentals.
Yeah.
So you spoke of scams. Can you list the biggest scam you have seen so far? I have one, but I want to see if it's the same. You know what I'm saying? What is a scam?
You know what? So I don't know that I have the biggest scam, but what I will say, well, I will say I had a client before she made it to me. She had she had applied for at least, I want to say she said like 5 different places, and all of them seemed to have been, she wasn't able to get in contact with anyone. She was applying online. She wasn't able to reach anyone. Folks continuously were taking her money, but she wasn't getting any showings. And so, like, it's very important. Like, there's no real way to be able to tell if there is a scam happening unless you know what to look for, right? Because there are some owner managed rentals online that are they're owner managed. They're on the MLS. It doesn't mean that they're a scam. It doesn't mean that they're not real. But there has been several places that people will create a fake profile for a rental when really that home has been sold years ago.
Yes.
Right? And you don't know because you don't have someone like myself or Keelani to do their due diligence to find out.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So one of the biggest scams that I've seen is on Facebook Marketplace. They take and copy and paste pictures from Zillow or other places, and they say that it's for rent, but they want you to submit a deposit prior to getting an application. Well, that is not how the process works. So it's very important to have an agent with you that can help stop you from wasting your money, because once they take your money, it's gone. I've had 2 clients that's happened to, and then they reached back out to me. One of the safest places, I don't know if you can agree with this, is Zillow. If you're looking for a rental that's on Zillow, Zillow actually verifies the homeowner, and they have specific policies when they apply to put it for rent through their portal. Right. Same for Redfin, I believe, homes.com. So the other way to tell that, and that's one of the things that we look for, because if it's on Zillow, then it might have an MLS number or a point of contact that we can get a hold of and speak on your behalf to ensure you're not being scammed. And that's the most important thing.
It is. I want to be, as a renter, like if I'm renting, I want to be able to speak to someone. But also, you guys, check the reviews. Check the reviews for the property management company that you guys are looking to potentially secure a home with. Because if you don't, now that I've had a client run into that, right? So if we're going to do our own due diligence, but also you as the renter should do some too. Make sure that this property manager doesn't have a ton of terrible reviews about service. Now there's some, PMs out here that we have worked with personally that we can vouch for.
Yes.
But we're constantly looking at places through the MLS. There's too many to really keep count. So we're not checking to verify, how good they are per se. I would say as a renter, you should definitely do that. Now, if there's anything that has transpired that we think that our clients should know, an experience, perhaps a bad experience, perhaps a red flag, I'm going to share that, right? I have a fiduciary duty to let you know about some experiences that have transpired so that you're not affected or at least so that you're in the know and can make your own educated decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's really important, discussing fiduciary duty. So with that, we have to get documents or something signed or go into contract with our client before we can represent them. That's easy for the buyer and selling side, but when it comes to renters, we need to follow the same regulations and guidelines, because we cannot act on your behalf. We can't do anything to help you or ask for information unless we establish that client agency relationship. Right. So what's one of the ways that we do that as agents?
So what we're going to do is, so we have, obviously there's some housekeeping items, right? We have the duties owed disclosure form that essentially outlines our roles and responsibilities, our fiduciary duties, right, from Nevada, by Nevada law. And so some of the things that you could find on there are things that we're going to do anyway, right? We're going to not act in deceit. We're going to have, your best interest. If there's something about a home, or if there are any material facts that we should relay to you so that you can make an educated decision, so that you're in the know and not in the dark, we're going to do that, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, there are duties that we owe to all folks in a transaction. And then there's duties that we owe just to our clients.
Yes.
Tell me about those.
So the duties that we owe just to our clients is, one, keeping your financial information confidential until it's time to divulge it. That's the application process. Yeah. The other thing is keeping your motives for moving, because frankly, that's no one's business.
That's right.
They need to know if you could pay the rent or not.
Between us.
That's the other thing is, they don't need to know how many houses you viewed or who all you're working with. All they need to know is you're working with me and if you have interest in this property. So that's important, because I know what questions to ask to get the information from them, versus they know what questions to ask to get information out of you.
That's right.
So that's why it's important to have somebody represent you.
You know what's funny is that as we talk about this right now, it's just, it's funny because it sounds like we're talking about a buyer, right? It's so in depth. It's so, there's so many steps. It's so like, but I'm just renting. Like, why is it is that deep, right? Because you're still spending money. You're still taking this, you're going to make this rental your home. A lot of these things matter. We want to make sure that you're safe, secure, that you are not overspending, because you can overspend on a rental, right? It might not be at market value. I mean, there's so many things to consider. So if you are thinking about renting, don't take it lightly. It is also important. It might not be the biggest purchase of your life, but it's still a very important step in your life that matters for you and your family.
I agree. So a lot of ways people look for where they want to rent is how close they are to their job, how close they are to their children's school, how close they are to university or important places that they want to live. But you're right, they're not buying. And people's like, well, I'm just renting. Well, let's look at the financial side of that. If you're paying $1,000 a month in rent for the year, you sign a minimum usually of a year lease, you're spending $12,000. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
That's only usually 1/4 or half what people make for their annual income.
Right.
So it's not something truly to be taken lightly. And once you sign that lease, you can't break it.
Right.
Or
I mean, you can, but
the penalties, are you ready to pay the majority of the residual rent up front? Most people are not.
Right.
So when we find a place for you to rent and we take the time to vet those areas, it's for you. So when you live there, you're not thinking, oh, after month one, I hate it here. I want to move.
Right. But you can't.
But you can.
Right? And you only mentioned $1,000 rent, but like, let's be honest, finding a decent place for $1,000 a month is so like a home, not just like a room for rent. Very unlikely. So you're really spending probably usually a minimum of $1,650 times that by 12. That's even more money.
That is more money. Right. I just can't do math that fast.
And I'm not going to try.
So but most houses that for families, say 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom houses, are about $2,000 up. So you're looking at $24,000 for the year, and then some people do 2-year leases. Well, man, that's $48,000. What could you have done with that? Where could you have found where you truly wanted to live and you want to invest that money yourself? Yeah. So that is the first step before home buying. It is in depth. And once you start renting, you're learning how to slowly invest in yourself, because your home is where you go to put your hat at the end of the day. Your home is where you raise your family. Your home is where you do all the holidays. So once you are comfortable in renting and understand that, then you're able to take the next step into buying. And then you're taking that $12,000, $24,000, $48,000, and you're just investing it in yourself and your future.
That's right. So that's right. And you may folks often discredit themselves. They don't know that you may be a heck of a lot closer than you think, especially if you're working with an agent that can give you some recommendations on where they have the best deals, that can negotiate the heck out of a deal for you, right? There are builders out here offering down payment assistance programs that are forgivable, that are paying your closing costs, where you're coming to the table with $3,000 and some folks are coming to the table with nothing. So I mean, that's a whole different conversation, and we're going to have to get into that.
Oh, we will.
Right?
That is another one.
But we just wanted to kind of go over from a renting perspective. Don't take it lightly, because it too is important. And yes, working with an agent makes it easier for you, save time, save money, help to be prepared. And that can kind of also help you to get into the next transition if buying a home is important and if that's a goal for you.
It is.
And if it's not, that's totally okay. Like, no judgment.
That is true. Some people are renters for life, and that's okay. We just want to make sure you like where you live.
Exactly.
That's important.
That's what helps.
So we did touch on, the down payment and the closing costs. Well, even with renting, we still have to pay a security deposit. There are some fees that go with it. Yes. So what do you think is a base price for somebody either transitioning from one rental to another or relocating from out of state that they should have available when they're ready to submit applications?
Okay, so it's really going to depend on what your max monthly affordability is. And because most of the time, 8 times out of 10, a property manager is going to require that you make at least 3 times the rent, right? There are some folks that will allow 2.5%, and sometimes they'll work with you, negotiate, and that's where we come in at. And your profile, credit, rental history, income, all that plays into it. But let's say that you're looking for $2,000 a month, right? Your security deposit is at least the same amount as the rent, so that's $2,000. Let's say you move it on the 1st, that's $2,000. There's fees, cleaning, key, probably admin. So I mean, easily I would say 4, 5, I mean 6. I know this sounds crazy. We're talking about renting, but easily having $6,000 in your account now to rent when you have a place that's about $2,000 or higher is you have that comfy zone, right? Yes. You can do it with less, but if we're talking about being comfortable,
yes,
I would say easily like $5,000 at least.
And then that's just with renting the house and those fees, but we have to think about NV Energy, other things, utilities, that if you've never rented before, you're brand new to the world, like 18-year-old, you're going to have to put deposits and things on. And so that's where it's important, again, having an agent, we do rental consultations, is breaking down that budget for you. Specifically, if you're new to renting, you're new to being in a home or an apartment by yourself, we want to ensure that you're not over the budget, because you could say the rent is $1,300, but if you're only making $3,000 a month, that's about half. You're not including car insurance, things like that.
Gas,
so
food.
Not all agents take the time to do that. However, when I do a rental consultation, what are we looking at? Is there additional fees on top of the rent? Are there additional fees they might have to pay to get it set up? And if my client is looking for a specific area, I want to know what the average rate and cost is to move in that area, and then I'll let them know what do they have, and then do they need to wait a month or save or do something else to get the money to move comfortably, because you don't want to be house poor. We talk about being house poor from a buying and selling standpoint, but it's very similar from a renting standpoint.
Still applies.
Because of that, you are locked in, and getting an eviction notice or things like that, or something going in collections, either way, it snowballs, and it makes it harder for you to rent later, and it definitely puts a speed bump in you trying to buy or do anything financially. So we want to protect you from that. So, well, we went over so many great things. Thank you, Ryan. We can go on for hours. We love our dogs. But we do rental consultations. They are complimentary. If you're interested in learning more how to budget to prepare yourself to rent, and then the same thing, very similar to the buying process. We do it for you. So down below, if you want to like and subscribe, if this is on Instagram, DM me. I think that's what the kids say.
Yeah.
Facebook, message me. I don't know.
Slide your DMs.
Or we're going to look at whatever platform you see this on, message. And we will be glad to reach out to you.
That's right.
We'll do video, Zoom, Google Meets, whichever makes you comfortable.
We love the face-to-face interaction.
Giving you the free information.
That's it.
Because that's what's important. How can you make a decision if you don't even have the information?
Yeah.
That's all. But thank you so much, Ryan, for coming to my first episode.
Whoop, whoop. Congratulations, some girl.
More to come. Thank you, guys. I have no name for my show yet, but I might end it with...
You're here.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
What's
up? Have a good day.